And if you just have the courage to challenge what we think is normal and have the company of your own self, we're so disconnected from our true self that we would give up this opportunity to connect with Parmeshwar Vaheguru. We would give it up just to have the company of a robot on a screen. Where are we at? Bhagat Fariji is saying, Je jana tela thorre, sambal bukha pari. They say, if I knew that I only had so few sesame seeds, sambal, what I would do is I'd put my hands like this, I'd take a book, I'd take a whole handful of them, and in this way, pari, I would keep them so dear to my heart. The question we have to ask ourselves is not what can I get away with, how can I achieve this and get away with it, because the worst case scenario is you get away with it, the best case scenario is you also get away with it. You're still putting yourself in a dark place. The real question we have to ask ourselves is, how can I put myself in such a wonderful place that I am acceptable to connect to Parmeshwar Vaheguru? Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today we are reflecting upon the teachings contained in the 30th salok of Salok Mahalla Nava. Salok Mahalla Nava, that Bani that we recite as we approach the end of a Sahaj Path in the last few angs of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, the last few limbs of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. We reach the Salok Mahalla Nava, the Bani that teaches us about death, that gives us a true understanding of what death actually is, that through that reflection we can understand life. And in this 30th salok, Guru Sahib teaches us about something that is in front of us that we don't always see. People go through their whole lives enduring and being tormented by this thing, this entity, this way of energy, if you will. And this is called Maya. Maharaj says, Man Maya me Fadh Rehio, bisriyo Gobind naam, Kaho Nanak har bhajan bin jivan kone kaam. So Maharaj says, Man, our minds. Maharaj is saying, our mind, Man Maya, our minds have become within Maya, within this illusion, this addiction, this disease that presents to us an understanding that we are separate from each other. In this disease of Maya, this illusion with which we're all entrapped, insofar as we are not outside of Maya. Man Maya me Fadh Rehio. Maharaj says, within meh, within Fadh Rehio. That Fadh means to be entangled, like fasiya hoye oda naal. Maharaj kende, Man Maya me Fadh Rehio, that our minds have become so entangled with Maya, and in this way, bisriyo Gobind, we've forgotten. Bisriyo means to forget, Gobind Ram. Because Guru Sahib says there is one thing in the way of our experiencing, appreciating, connecting, seeing and feeling Parmeshwar Vaheguru, and that is Maya. So what is Maya, Sadh Sangat Ji? Maya can be broken down, the word Maya can be broken down to two smaller words. So my, hai, Maya. So very similar to home. Maya is this illusion, and it's, if you will, insofar as there's anything in this world that takes your mind away from God, that is Maya. So we have to be very careful here with the word Maya. In Punjabi, the word Maya means money. But when we're speaking from Gurbani, Maya does not mean money. Maya from Guru Maharaj includes money. Maya's understanding, when we speak about Maya from Guru Maharaj, Maharaj is explaining that Maya is anything that takes our mind away from Bisriyo Gobind Ram, from remembrance of Parmeshwar Vaheguru. So Maya does not mean money, but the reason why there's a bit of confusion, and whenever we heard the word Maya, like sometimes it's written, Maya Golak Vich Baoji. In that context, Guru Sahib, in the Punjabi language, when we use the word Maya, we're speaking about putting money in the Golak or making a donation. But we're trying to put that understanding aside, put the Punjabi element aside. As we're aspiring Gurmukhs here, all of us together, we'll take the true understanding of the word Maya. Maya is all that which distracts us and takes our mind away from Parmeshwar Vaheguru. So it could be our identity, it could be money, insofar as it's distracting us with greed, it could be our relationships, it could be in any aspect of this illusion where you look at that and you think this is. Maya is just this illusion. Maharaj says the problem is not the illusion, The illusion itself is just a thing. The problem we are enduring and tormenting ourselves with is how we have become entangled with that illusion. So insofar as we have become entrapped, we've become too entangled with that illusion, then we are going to be suffering. The hunters of India, they give us a great education when they talk about how they capture monkeys. Monkeys are notoriously very difficult to get hold of. They're very agile. You see these examples of them when they come and snatch a purse from a tourist, or they take some gold from a tourist. If you go to the mountains, there are a lot of monkeys that live in these touristy areas that people go and visit. And they steal stuff and you can't get it back. And they'll come and they'll even taunt you. They'll come within reach. They'll offer that which they've taken from you in front of you, because they're so sure of their agility that they're outside of your reach. So how to capture these monkeys that are beyond our reach, that are inaccessible, that are beyond approach? What the hunters realize is that they can't capture the monkey. They don't have the ability to ensnare the monkey. They can't offer that to which the monkey will fall foul of a trap. So what they would do is something really interesting. They would put peanuts within a cage, a very small cage. And the cage, if the monkey is this big, the cage is very small, like a small little trap. You could just barely fit a mouse into it. And the intention wasn't to have the monkey get caught up in the cage because it's too small. They would just put a few nuts inside that cage at the bottom of a tree base. And what these monkeys would do is they would be ensnared by these peanuts. They could fit their hands through the bars, and they would take a fist full of these nuts. But of course, once they've made their hand into a fist around these nuts, they can't take their hand out. And the hunters would come nearby, seeing the hunters approach. All they'd have to do is let go of the peanuts, and in this way they'd find their freedom. But they can't. So the hunters would very calmly, peacefully go along, and they would pick up those monkeys, still holding onto those peanuts, and in this way they would become their slaves. They would become their trick animals, and they would take them far away. But here it gets interesting. The example of that monkey, we think, well, we can see the metaphor here, that in some way that monkey is ensnared by its single-minded focus on these peanuts, that it loses a greater freedom. We can see how that applies to all of us. But here it gets really interesting, Sadh Sangatji, as maybe second generation or third generation Sikhs in this country. The hunters go on to explain that those monkeys that go and get sold and they become trick monkeys, they get taught tricks, how they can perform tricks and things like this. And they have a relationship, they're very intelligent creatures. They go and, at the end of the day, they would go and demand from their masters in the circuses or on their sideshows on the streets. They would demand from their owners, and they would get given nuts, and they'd become very docile to this. They've long since forgotten the trap and the snare in their hand. And those monkeys would have children. And those children would be born into this carnival, if you like. And it was at this point, as I was undertaking the course, as I was undertaking the research about Man Maya mein Fadh Rehio, this idea of Man Maya, that our minds within Maya Fadh Rehio has become entangled. They don't really concentrate on this, but this is my interpretation. The children that were born, they don't even know about the jungle. They don't even know about this free roaming way of living that was lost to them. All that they know is the peanuts that they get fed by the owner of that tavern. And you go into a third generation and a fourth generation. And then when Guru Maharaj talks about the suffering of the world and how they are giving up their lives for peanuts, if you're a third generation monkey and you've never known the freedom of the jungle, you've never known Naam, you've never known what it means to live as the Khalsa in the jungles of this world, free from the attachments, completely free and veparvaha with Naam in your life. But how would you approach that problem? How do you look for that which you don't know exists? And Sadh Sangatji, that is where I had this little eureka moment, and I wrote this down that I wanted to share with you, because Sadh Sangatji, we don't even know that we're in Maya. This is the point. We're that second generation, we're that third generation monkeys, if you will. Excuse the pun, I'm not disrespecting the Sangat here, but if you just follow the analogy, if you follow the metaphor, we have been born into a system of indoctrination that is teaching us not to trust our heart, not to trust our soul. And the only thing that we can trust is our qualifications. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't aspire to become doctors and lawyers and dentists. I'm not saying that. But in terms of our internal journey, this internal journey for the jungle, for the freedom of Nanak Vigse Ve Paravaho, that our ancestors speak about, that when you become one with Parmeshwar Vaheguru, you become Ve Paravaho. That the energy and the wave of love that is Parmeshwar Vaheguru is something that you ride, and that you can enjoy that, and that you are free from this world. And then you go back to Punjab, and you see Singhs in Bane with 1% of our wealth riding upon horses free. And you see a look in their eyes that they don't know what a circus is. And they don't know what a tavern is. And they don't know what peanuts are, because they eat as kings in a jungle and they eat free. And how do you expect that one to connect with that Gurmukh living in the jungle? How do we understand that? Maharaj says, Sat Sangat kaisi janiye jithe eko naam vakhani. There's a unification, Sadh Sangat Ji. There's a way that we can bridge the gap, that we can share that energy, that we can grow with each other, we can support each other, and that we can all become free. Maharaj says, seek out that place. Sat Sangat kaisi janiye. It doesn't matter where you come from. Maharaj is not talking about our history or who we are right now. They say, find that place. Jithe eko naam vakhani, where the name of God is vibrating. In that place, you can experience that too. Be that longing which you see in those that you value to be like, but you think, how do I be like you? I'm in a circus. I'm just in this rat race. I'm just in this hamster's wheel going around and around and around. We call that Maya. Now we have an understanding of what that is. Guru Maharaj is saying to us, we seek out the Gurmukhs, and in the company of those which the name of God vibrates. In this way you can experience what it means to be free. And then you'll know in your own heart that that is the path that you must take. Aakho Satnam Sri. You see, Sadh Sangat Ji, a lot of the times, as we're trying to be good people, if you like, we're struggling. We say, I want to be good. I want to do the right thing. And that is very admirable. That is such a wonderful, courageous thing to have in our heart. Even the struggle with that, as we try and live in the world, live in a lifestyle where everyone is living a certain way, as we try and challenge that and operate distinctly and remain nyara and try and go home and do our part, but in our minds we're saying, I want to be good, I want to be different. It's a struggle. But Sadh Sangat Ji, it's only a struggle insofar as you haven't experienced that naam. When you've experienced that naam, and in that moment you have a look behind that veil, that veil of illusion is pierced. When that veil, which is presented in front of you as this is the world, this is the illusion within which you must be completely hypnotized and enslaved. When that veil is pierced and you feel naam and you cry tears of joy that reduce you to so much Anand, then you'll only know one fear, Sadh Sangat Ji. The only fear you'll know in that moment is the fear that this will leave you. Everything else doesn't matter. And you'll cry tears of love and tears of fear at the same time. You'll cry tears of love and tears of fear. Tears of love as you experience that energy, that blessing to be unified with Parmeshwar Vaheguru in that moment. And you'll cry tears of fear. How can you be in such a fearful state? Because when you're totally in love, you're totally in fear of losing that connection of that one. Sadh Sangat Ji, there were two Gurmukhs. I didn't plan to mention this, but their names were Bhai Amandeep Singh and Bahadur Singh. Bhai Amandeep Singh and Bahadur Singh, they lived in a state that I can't even fathom what kind of Anand it would have been. For 9 months, 9 days, no curry. 9 months, 9 days, and 9 curry. They sat in the company of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. There was no Maya there. It was just Naam. It was just oneness. For 9 months, 9 days, and 9 qari. A qari is like 22 minutes. So you can work out the maths. That's the time period within which they were blessed to be in the company of Guru Maharaj. They listened to the complete katha from the first ang all the way to the 1430th ang of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Maharaj. In the morning, Guru Maharaj would speak. They would recite from memory Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, and Bhai Mani Singh Ji would write everything that Guru Maharaj would say. In the afternoon, Guru Maharaj would check every line that Bhai Mani Singh Ji had written was correct. And where it's written Shuddh or Rahao, that's where Guru Maharaj is giving the stamp that I've checked it, just as an aside, from a reference point. And in the evening, Guru Maharaj would take those parchiya that Bhai Mani Singh Ji had written, and they would do the katha, they would do the explanation of those teachings. For 9 months, 9 days, and 9 qari, Baba Deep Singh Ji and Bhai Mani Singh Ji were in the company of Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj. And at that time, after which that seva was completed, Maharaj says, now I've got to send you to go and do seva. And they would be sent. And Bhai Mani Singh Ji and Baba Deep Singh Ji said, Maharaj, wait a second. I can't understand. How am I expected to be without you? Like, I've experienced so much bliss in your company. I have experienced beyond this life of Anand. But how can it be that, Maharaj, I can't bear the thought of waking up tomorrow and not being in your sharan? The way that we're lucky to be in the Guru's sharan right now, in the Guru's sanctuary right now. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji would give the boon. They would say to Bhai Mani Singh Ji and Baba Deep Singh Ji, because for us, the Guru is they never leave us on their own. Maharaj says, Gave ko veke hadra hadur. But how can I speak of that one who is even closer to me than I can see, even closer to me than the person sitting next to me? Kehe Ravidas haat pe nere. Maharaj says that Maharaj is closer to us than even our own hands and feet. Don't ever think that you're on your own. Guru Sahib is totally with us. And Baba Deep Singh Ji, Bhai Mani Singh Ji, they know this, but they're giving us this question so that they're giving Guru Sahib this question for us, that we can share this vichar, we can have this understanding. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj said, Tusi fikr na kar mera putt. My children, my brothers, my younger brothers, they say to Bhai Mani Singh Ji, that even if you're chopped into pieces, but you will still be in Anand. This is how close you are to me. Baba Deep Singh Ji says, Maharaj, but what about me? They say, Deep Singh, even if your head is cut from your body, even in such circumstances as your head is cut from your body, even then you will be in Anand. You will be in the company of the Guru. Akho Satanam Sri. And we know that when Bhai Mani Singh Ji was given the ultimatum, convert to Islam. We know that when Bhai Mani Singh Ji was given the ultimatum, be convert to Islam, or we're going to extract upon you a religious death from a fatwa. A fatwa will be given to you that Bhai Mani Singh Ji would choose, because they had the Guru's company, they were in Anand. They were outside of Maya. Man Maya mein Fadh Rehio, Bisariyo Gobind Naam. They hadn't Bisariyo Gobind Naam. They hadn't forgotten Parameshwar Vaheguru. Man Maya mein Fadh Rehio. They weren't Fadh Rehio. They weren't entangled with Maya. They were outside of this play. Baba Deep Singh Ji says, do what you want, do what you will. There's no way that you're going to get me to give up my dharam and convert to Islam. The fatwa was written that we're going to chop you limb from limb. And as they are brought forward to be executed, to be made shaheed, as we would say, to give their life in the physical sense, but how do you take someone's life that is joined with the immortal? Go figure that out. To those who are trying to execute Bhai Mani Singh Ji, they are with us still. And as the executioners places Bhai Mani Singh Ji's hand upon the cleaving block to take their limbs, Bhai Mani Singh Ji calls for it to be paused. And the executioners, they turn to Bhai Mani Singh, they say, do you concede it? Have you stopped this process of torture so that you could accept Islam? Bhai Mani Singh Ji says, no. I've stopped this process because if you're going to allow me the honor of becoming a shaheed, then follow your fatwa. Your religious order is that you chop me limb from limb. But you're starting at my wrist because my digits begin upon my fingers. But take it through my digits, that I get to be chopped at these 2 digits, then these 2, 4, 6, 8. And in this way, you can complete what you're supposed to be your truth. Bhai Mani Singh Ji was chopped into 22 pieces, and then let not one yelp come from their mouth. As they continue to recite the Shabad, the Bani of Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, Satnam Sri. Now, when we hear this, we hear Nastik Bande. Nastik Bande meaning people that are doubtful. And they ask a question. They say, how can this happen? Because you can't possibly believe that. For starters, we're not going back 2,000 years. Our history was written at around about the same time that Romeo and Juliet were being played out across the Thames in the globe. We aren't talking about, we're talking about, in literary terms, this is the modern literary period. If you study English, the texts that have come out of this time is called the modern literary period. Our history is only 300 years old, for starters. But the second point is this: you have to understand, when someone asks this question, they're operating within Maya. They don't understand that there is this game of Maya, and that for a Gursik, that this veil of Maya is just something that you can go behind. To any of us that would look at a magician's show and be enthralled by the magic, as soon as we got taken behind the show to see actually the daggers go within themselves, or actually it's just a mirror, once we have seen behind the show, if we get put back in the audience, would we call that magic? No. We would call that hukum. We have an understanding of what how that magician works, right? And for a Gurmukh who is completely in tune with the Guru's hukum, it's not a question about how these things could happen, because you've been behind it, you've seen the way that the show is being played out by the operator. And so, Bhai Mani Singh Ji would be chopped into 22 limbs, and in Maya, people would challenge this. But for a Gurmukh, Gurmukh Nadang, Gurmukh Vedang, Gurmukh Rehio Samai. For a Gurmukh Nadang, the Gurmukh listens to the Nad of the Guru. Gurmukh Vedan, the Guru takes the Guru's knowledge. And in this way, what does the Gurmukh become? Gurmukh Rehio Samai. That they become one with the Guru. Akho Satnam Sri. Sadh Sangat Ji, this example of Bhai Mani Singh Ji and then Baba Deep Singh Ji, when their head was cut from their body, but they would pick up their head. And when we go to Darbar Sahib, just during the course of this vichar, hundreds of people would have put their head, and that's what you've all been to the Darbar Sahib, you've all been to Harmandir Sahib, you've been to the Golden Temple, and as you've walked around the Parikrama, you've seen the picture where Baba Deep Singh Ji would place their own head in Anand as they would do Matha Tegh, as they would come to challenge those that would seek to defile the sanctity of the Darbar Sahib. They would challenge that might of that Mughal envoys, that force that was sent. And their head would be cut from their body in Jang. They would pick up their own head. They would carry on fighting. The Mughals would run from this because it was proclaimed by the Guru. How were they able to do this? Sadh Sangat Ji, just a few weeks ago, we spoke about the Matrix analogy. In that film, there's a scene where someone bends a spoon. I'm not sure if you've seen the film, if you're familiar with it. This person's in a computer simulation. And the person that's just been injected into that simulation, if you will, he sees this child bending the spoon. And he goes, how do you bend the spoon? And the two characters are playing this out to give us an understanding of what this illusion is. And the child says, don't try and bend the spoon, because that's impossible. I agree with you, it's impossible. Instead, try to realize that there isn't any spoon. We're just in a simulation. For a Nastik Banda to look at what Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj Sikh did, and you see Bhai Mani Singh Ji fighting with their head in their hand. You see Baba Deep Singh Ji fighting with their head in their hand. You see Bhai Mani Singh Ji being chopped into pieces without even one scream or shout as they are in Anand. You look at this and you say, well, how can I reconcile this? How can I understand that when you're within that illusion? But for Bhai Mani Singh Ji and Baba Deep Singh Ji, we marmaya mein Fadh Rehio, bisriyo gobind naam, kaho nanak bin har bhajan, jeevan kone kaam. Maharaj is saying, for those that are entangled in Maya, they will not be able to tap into that energy of Parameshwar Vaheguru. But if you're not within Maya, if you're not caught within Maya, and you're vibrating upon the name of God, then in this way, not only are you not within the confines of Maya, but then your ability is not confined within the confines of Maya either. Akho Satanam Siddhi. So how then, the question then for us as path seekers, what are we supposed to do? We always try and understand that this isn't for knowledge's sake. We're not just here. Coming and learning about the Guru is amazing. Coming and implementing the Guru's teachings is the greatest gift. What do? How do we walk the path? What is it that we have to do to bring about change, that we are not suffering at the grip of Maya? What can we do? The first step, Sadh Sangat Ji, as we're all blessed, is having that understanding. How many people do you think go through their whole life without even knowing what Maya is? How are they supposed to be in a state of Anand? They don't even know that they're supposed to be going beyond this place. In fact, they're propagating every part of their energy to building a world of Maya around them. Again, just to repeat, I'm not suggesting for a second that we don't build our careers and we don't have jobs. But the moment we fall into the trap to think that that is the source of which our happiness is going to emanate, our infinite happiness, our never-ending happily ever after, it's at that point, Sadh Sangat Ji, that we're destined to fail. Just as building a house upon sand can never be considered a lifetime forever home, we'd be mad to think that would be the case, right? That all of these temporary structures within our minds that we are building, insofar as we attach ourselves to those things, Jagaraj will say this so beautifully. In their katha, they speak about a Bhakti from Maharaj that comes to mind. Guru Arjan Dev Ji gives us a very powerful lesson. The king of all the shaheeds, Shaheed Nanda Sartaj, Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, the greatest shaheed of all the shaheeds, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who gave us the beloved Sukhmani Sabda Path that we recite in celebration and thankfulness. Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who refused to convert to Islam after being told to change Gurbani to reflect upon Islam favorably, they said no, they wouldn't change one antuk of Gurbani because this is our priceless Guru. They wouldn't do that, and so in return for which they were tortured to death by having the skin pulled from their bodies. What does Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say to us? They say to us as children, they speak to us, they say, Sarab Sukha me paliya, har jevad na koi. They say, Sarab Sukha, all the Sukh in the world that you are seeking, me paliya, it's in their godi, it's in their gift. Because they're the creator of this, they're part and parcel of this whole universe. Everything is within their hand to give, receive, and to enjoy. Maharaj says, Sarab Sukha, Sarab all Sukha, all Sukh that there is to enjoy, ma paliya, meaning it's within them to receive, within them to give, within them to enjoy. Sarab Sukha ma paliya, har jevad na koi. Jevad, I love that word jevad. Jevad basically translates in East London terms to not on the level. Literally means not on that level. Har jevad na koi. In other words, all of those things that we speak of, that we think are sweet, har jevad, none of them are on the jevad or the level of the name of God. Akho Satanam Siddhi. So then what's the gift? What's the game? What is the place for us if we're going to seek out true Anand? What we have to do, Sadh Sangat Ji, is we have to challenge the mind. Don't forget, today's vichar begins with the word man. Man maya me Fadh Rehio, bisriyo gobind naam. Man maya, my mind, within Maya, Fadh is enticed. So what do we got to do? We've got to fix our state of mind. We have to go beyond our mind. And what we have to do, Sadh Sangat Ji, is we have to make a daily engagement with Gurumati Vichar. We have to wrestle with our mind and give it a dose of something that initially might seem quite kora, might seem to challenge the taste buds with which our taste buds have become accustomed. What we have to do, Sadh Sangat Ji, is start challenging our minds with Naam. Naam is the antidote to Maya. Naam, the name of God that has been given to us by Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, is the antidote to Maya. Within Maya, within this entanglement that has got us around the neck, squeezing onto us so tight that we're waking up anxious without even knowing why we are feeling as such. The cure to all of that disease is Naam. Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. Satsangat Ji Maharaj explains to us in this salok, in this 30th salok, Kaho Nanak har bhajan bin jeevan kone kaam. Maharaj says, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, in the form of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, gives us this vibration, gives us this Sikhi, gives us this teaching that if you are not taking time to do bhajan, to vibrate upon the name of Hari, Parameshwar Vaheguru, in other words, to spend time in the company of yourself to do Simran. Kaho Nanak har bhajan bin jeevan kone kaam. What is the worth of your life? What is the meaning of your life? Now, Guru Maharaj is saying that in this day and age, that's not, Maharaj is not insulting us, and even if they are, they're our dad, they can say what they want to us anyway, but we've become a bit soft. So just to explain this, we've been so enraptured in Maya that sometimes we've got to be given a wake up. And my wish for my brothers and sisters, my mates, is that we succeed in ways that our parents couldn't even dream of, that we absolutely smash it out of the park. However, that being 49% of our success, because we realize that all of that success isn't going to make us happy inside. And that if we realize that with the 51, we spend time quietly just sitting in the courage of our own drive to just do Simran. If we could just do that, man, there's so much Anand to be had. Satsangat Ji, I speak to you hopefully from no place of ego. I'm so grateful to be here and have a chance to serve. I've been very grateful to be successful in my worldly wishes, the things that I wanted to achieve in terms of business and professional career, all those things. I'm so grateful from Guru Sahib's Charan. They've given me all these gifts. I can tell you from my heart, as we sit in the Guru's Charan, none of those things that I wished and dreamed about have even compared, even one tilak, even one sesame seed can be compared to what it means to be in it. When you're in the Sangat of the Guru and you feel Anand, like you would give it all up just to be in that Anand. I've sat in a room with students, which I'm so grateful. I don't know why, but they call me to come and speak to them about Sikhi. I've been across the world speaking to students at different educational establishments, the best educational establishments in this world. And we've sat and done Simran with students that are in debt. And I say, who would give up being here right now for £10,000? And not a single hand could be raised. They said, this is just Anand. They go, look, all your student debt, you'll regret this tomorrow. For £10,000, would you change places right now and leave the room? And no one wants to leave. I think I started raising up the figure. At one point, people started getting a bit edgy. But the point I'm trying to make, Satsangat Ji, is in a world that's monetized everything, that everything's valued in accordance to this dollar sign or the pound sign. Imagine you experience something that is so blissful that you can't even explain because it's free, but it's priceless. It's free in the sense you can't buy it, but it's beyond any value because you couldn't afford it if you could. And if you just had the courage to challenge what we think is normal and have the company of your own self, what a blissful thing, rather than sinking out the company of a robot on your screen. How mad is this? We're so afraid and we're so disconnected to Naam within us that we would rather give our soul, our jod, the company of a robot on a screen. Like where have we come? Everyone wants to bash social media and stuff like that. Forget bashing social media, forget coming out and get off your phones. Everyone's been educated enough. I'm looking at it from a different angle. We're all family here, man. If we're not family here, where are we going to be family? Like, I'll repeat the point, like, we're so disconnected from our true self that we would give up this opportunity to connect with Parameshwar Vaheguru. We would give it up just to have the company of a robot on a screen. Like, where are we at? Now, imagine if you're connected to Parameshwar Vaheguru, like these great, great givers of wisdom. You see Gyani Hari Singh Ji when they come, they're going to be here in a couple of months. These are the great beings that have given us all of the Sikhya. in terms of knowledge, forget the internet. These are the ones that have given us the teachings that Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave Baba Deep Singh Ji, Bhai Amandeep Singh. We spoke about that. They've carried on that lineage of education. Try and see them in the company of a screen when they can be in the company of their own jyot. I've stayed with them, and all you wake up, all you can hear at 5 in the morning is Sukhmani Sahib vibrating from their room. Mujawani from their mouth. They've memorized the Shabad because they know that that's Anand. Seek out their company. You'll be your own witness. I always like to say this. Come and have their company. They're here. They're traveling to meet us. They'll be here just for that purpose. This is such a gift. Every breath that we take is an opportunity to connect. Wow. Bhagat Farid Ji in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, they say something. They say, Farida je jana til thorre sambal bukha pari. They say, Bhagat Farid Ji, they say, je jana, if I knew, til is sesame seeds. Maharaj, Bhagat Farid Ji is saying, je jana til thorre sambal bukha pari. They say, if I knew that I only had so few sesame seeds, Sambal, what I would do is I'd put my hands like this, I'd take a book, I'd take a whole handful of them, and in this way, pari, I would keep them so dear to my heart. What is Maharaj talking about? Maharaj is saying, if I knew how few breaths I had left to take, if I knew how fragile and how temporary this opportunity to connect with Naam is and go beyond this Maya, if I knew how fragile and fleeting this moment was to capture this opportunity to feel that Anand, Je jana til thorre, til now is a metaphor for the name of God, the chance to repeat the name of God. Je jana til thorre, sambal bukha pari. I would have filled my hands like this much. Can you imagine thousands of seeds in my hand? They go on to say, Je jana soho nandara, Je jana soho nandara, ta thora man kari. They say, if I knew, actually, once you go beyond that veil and you see the pure love of God and you experience that, Maharaj says, Je jana soho nandara. If I realized that actually that purity is like a child's purity, that actually God is like a beautiful child. Apa kende bachcha hai Rab da roop. You hear that saying, right? That child is the form of God. Putting that worldly expression aside, Guru Sahib's actually telling us about God. You want to hear what God is like, that quality is like? Maharaj says, Soho, your husband, Lord, that husband that you want to get married to, that forever marriage with Parmeshwar Vaheguru, that union that can take place even while you're alive, where you can feel that Anand, that Baba Deep Singh Ji, Bhai Amandeep Singh Ji, that they were in Anand. That Anand, the Guru Sahib, they've pierced that veil. They speak to us from beyond that place. They explain to us, not as a guest, they can tell us exactly what the nature of God is. They say that the nature of God is Nandara. Nandara means like a child pure state. Maharaj says, Farida je jana soho Nandara. If I knew how pure and unadulterated and beautiful that childlike state of God was, ta thora man kari. I wouldn't have spent so much time collecting all this janjal mat, all this cleverness inside. That I wouldn't have spent so much time polluting myself with all of this gand. Imagine you go to your wedding night and your partner is completely pure, that you're supposed to join with, and you're completely covered in gand from what you've collected in your life. How is that match supposed to take place? Maharaj is saying this from a spiritual perspective. They're saying that we need to decorate ourselves with that innocence. Now, just to be clear, that doesn't mean that you've got to be soft. Innocence and softness is not the same. Baba Deep Singh Ji was completely innocent to Maya. They were beyond Maya, but they could smash. And they smashed through iron. And they spilt guts in the defense of Dharam. And slightly going off topic here, but really actually directly on point with Maya, what we're seeing here is people are so engulfed in Maya. The conversations that we're seeing on social media that our children are having to endure is, why is it that men are being famed for their body count and their indulgences, and when a woman does this, she is labeled a different count? It's like, the question's wrong. What you're saying is, why would anybody want to cover themselves in gand and then try and seek out their husband, Lord? In a spiritual sense, why would you cover yourself completely, Je jana soho nandara, if you knew that the one you're truly looking to marry is completely pure? Ta thoda man kari. Rather than getting cleverness into your mind and say, I can do this, it should be the same for our gender as theirs. Rather than looking about how you can both suffer, that's the point here, right? The genders are fighting to try and achieve equality in suffering. Why would you want to equalize yourself in torture? It's like they're in the gutter, but they're not being rebuked for their body count. Why can't we be in the gutter and not be rebuked for our body count? The whole conversation is, why does anyone want to be in the gutter? Why is everyone talking about being able to be in the gutter together? It should be about they're in the gutter, full stop. Find me someone that's got a huge, in this concept, everyone knows what I'm talking about here. Find me someone who's got a huge body count that hasn't got mental health issues, serious mental health issues. That is then so far disconnected from where they need to be spiritually because they've given up so much of themselves. Every of these actions have a connection to us, to your future, right? And you're wondering why then you're waking up with these anxieties. So Maharaj is saying, Jeh jana soho nandaraj. They say, you want to know what's behind that veil? You haven't gone past it yet, but our Guru lives in that other place. They say, Jeh jana, if you was to know, Jeh jana soho nandara, if you knew how pure your husband Lord was, ta thoda man kari, you wouldn't decorate yourself in disease. You wouldn't decorate yourself in a way that would make you a bad match and then wonder why we can't connect. Sadh Sangat Ji, the question we have to ask ourselves is not what can I get away with, how can I achieve this and get away with it, because the worst case scenario is you get away with it, the best case scenario is you also get away with it. You're still putting yourself in a dark place. The real question we have to ask ourselves is, how can I put myself in such a wonderful place that I am acceptable to connect to Parameshwar Vaheguru? Aakho Satnam Sri. Because Maharaj is saying to us, all of the things that you achieve in this world will not even compare to one tilak, one sesame seed of what it means to be in the company of Parameshwar Vaheguru's name. Aakho Satnam Sri. Let's not forget here, Sadh Sangat Ji, these words that we've reflected upon today. Man maya mein Fadh Rehio. Man maya mein Fadh Rehio. Gobind bisriyo Gobind Ram. Kaho Nanak har bhajan bin jeevan kone kam. These words, let's not forget, Guru Maharaj, these are their last breaths in the physical sense. They've been told, give up your dharam, convert to Islam, or we're going to cut your head off from your body. It is in these moments that Maharaj is writing this Salok Mananava. Of all the lessons that Guru Sahib wants to give us, they can give us their truest lessons at this time. And they're saying to their children, I like to consider us their grandchildren. Guru Gobind Singh Ji is our father. They're the father of the Khalsa Panth. Mata Sahib Deva is our mother. So then Guru Gobind Singh Ji's father is Guru Tegh, but they're our grandfather too, right? Many of us say that our grandparents have passed away. Just last week, one of my grandmothers passed away. But the way that I like to think of it is that Guru Tegh Baji, our grandfather, they're giving us Sikhi every single week. We come here and Guru Maharaj is here giving us this Salok Maranava. So then, Sadh Sangat Ji, keeping it functional, let's have a think. There's an energy now in the company of the Blessed Sangat, which I'm a beggar at the feet of. But right now, Naam is right close to us. Doing Simran, if I said to everybody right now, Sadh Sangat Ji, we're going to do Simran for an hour, nobody would have an objection. Because in the energy of the Sangat, we now can experience that we are beyond Maya. We are outside of Maya. Kaljug cannot come into the Guru's Darbar. So this is a safe place. When we say this is a Saranai, this is a sanctuary, this is the safest place on earth. Right now, if we had a task, if we had time before us, I said, look, Sadh Sangat Ji, we're going to sit, we're going to do Simran for 2 hours. Would there be any challenge to that? Our minds are right now. So the reason I'm saying that is, you're your own witness within your own heart. When you're in the company of the Sangat, beside you, in front of you, behind you, when you're in the company of the Sangat, Naam is available to us. Naam is available to us. The fragrance of Naam is all around us. What we have to do, Sadh Sangat Ji, now that Shabad will make more context, if I repeat it now, in the context of what we just said, Sat Sangat kaisi janiye, jithe eko naam vakhaniye. Maharaj says, Sat Sangat kaisi janiye, you'll know you're in the company of the Sangat. How will you know you're in the company of the Sangat? Jithe eko naam vakhani, where the name of God vibrates. where the fragrance of the mind is taken towards sitting still and being in the Naam. And if we just sit with our eyes closed, Satsanga Ji. Vaheguru, 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 Satsanga Ji, let's have a little bit of courage as we leave today. Let's think about how we're going to bring Naam into our days. Have a bit of courage to do something that puts you out your comfort zone. We have to give something up. If we're going to bring something into our day, we have to leave something else behind. We have to make room. We are only coming to the Guru Gard when there's time. What we should be doing is coming to the Guru Gard, and if we haven't got time to do the other thing, it gets cancelled because we have to come to the Guru Gard. Have you always, the mentality is, if I've got time, I'll pop in. And then we wonder why Naam is only just popping into our lives. Let's have a little think about structured, serious play. Structured, serious play, that we bring some structured, serious time for our own true happiness. I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm saying that you should ask of this from yourself, from the world. Take a bit of time, have a bit of, and people are going to call it selfish. All due respect, if you find half an hour for yourself to do Simran for your true Anand, and you devote the rest of your life to the world, and people are going to call that selfish, really question people's ability to, how much that person's satisfaction is going to serve you, how much obeying that person is really in your best interest. You should try and meditate for an hour a day. Unless you can't, unless you haven't got any time, unless your life is so chaotic you haven't got time and you can't do that. If you haven't got any time and you can't meditate an hour a day because you're so busy, then you should meditate for 2 hours a day. And it's like, at first it seems counterproductive. If you haven't got time for your own Anand, then where are we? We've all got the time, man. It's about prioritizing that. And my wish is seeing my brothers and sisters, seeing my friends in the Langar hall downstairs, and everyone's like, yo, I'm in Anand, man. I'm feeling Anand. The idea of that is what brings me to the Guru Gard to share. Like the idea of seeing my brothers and sisters popping and not weighed down on their shoulders with all these demons that are living on our shoulders. It's like, what the hell, man? We're just about existing. When did the Khalsa Panth become about existing, just about surviving? The Khalsa Panth has been in jung. We've been outnumbered, we've been turned to mush, we've been given a choice of conversion to Islam or give up your dharam, and throughout all that we were in Anand. Now we're sitting pretty in semi-detached, and we've lost our way. We're holding on to peanuts in a cage, but the thing is, we're third generation down, we didn't even know there's a jungle out there. Going full circle, finish up as we started. So Sadhsanga, my benti to you is, come up to me after doing Simran and saying, you know what, I've got a little thing I want to share with you. We can have that conversation, or with each other as sisters at Cause Forum. It's Cause Club this Tuesday, right? The 10th. We've got an amazing forum. A clinical psychologist is coming down. She's going to be doing some time with the girls in the Cause Forum. Like at that forum, speak about Anand. If we're only sharing our problems and our difficulties, then we're going to learn about our problems and difficulties. Who's going to be sharing about Anand? We have to have that conversation. We have to be speaking about it, but to speak about it, we have to be there first. And this is my wish. This is my genuine, heartfelt wish. I want to hear that everyone's popping. I want to hear that everyone's in Anand. And in this way, we can experience that. And as we said the Guru's Fateh in about 20 seconds, it should be you calling out to Bhai Maharaj, Yo Maharaj, I've said Fateh how many times? This time I'm saying, Why Guruji ka Khalsa? Bhai Maharaj, make me Khalsa, make me pure. Make me pure inside. Why Guruji ki Fateh? Maharaj, make me victorious. That is the Guru's Fateh. So Satsanga, you are the Sangat of the Guru. Become that Fateh. And in this way, when you get there, take me with you as well. I'll be clinging on behind you, holding on to your jaw, holding on to your shawl, holding on to your cloak as you get taken. Take this poor servant with you as well. So Satsanga Ji, you are the Sangat of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj. Let's start living as such. Let's start approaching this Jivan as such. And in this way, Guru Maharaj, in your kindness, keep us close and join us with your charan. Be lekhe kathe na shutiye, khin khin pulan har, baksan har baksle, nanak par utar. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.